Welcome to ShareTheWealth.today. You might be wondering, hegemony, neoliberalism, plant sentience, clean energy, the Dalai Lama. What is all of this doing on one website? What am I doing here? Well, the answer is this. We live in a world right now that is the victim of strong neoliberal hegemonic forces that have created a reality that we're forced to accept. We've had multiple chances to correct course. Right after the 2008 financial crisis, everybody thought neoliberalism was going to go away, but for some reason it's still here. So this neoliberal world that we live in right now is not just your average political debate. This is not just about being conservative, being democratic, and by the way, neoliberalism has nothing to do with where you fall on the political spectrum. It's a very bipartisan ideology. So neoliberalism is not just your average we should go do this or that, and ultimately at the end of the day everything's the same. Neoliberalism stands as a very real threat in preventing us from achieving our maximum human potential. What I mean by that, neoliberalism is a force that turns us against each other, and for as long as that force is the dominant ideology in our culture, in our global society, then anything that we do is going to be used to advance ourselves at the expense of our enemies, prove that we are better than our enemies. Anytime we're turned against each other, we're going to use our innovations against each other. So that's the first step in moving past neoliberalism, is realizing that this is all a team sport. We're all in it together. The idea of nationhood is absolutely ridiculous in 2021. Absolutely ridiculous. It made sense way in the past to be scared of things that you were unfamiliar with because they were a threat to your survival, but hell, we live in a globalized world. We know you can go anywhere and that people are people. Everybody just wants the same thing. We only have different ideas about the best method to get there. So that's the first step in moving past hegemony, is thinking about working together. And once we do that, the technology that we build will actually be able to help all of us, because we all get to benefit. We build our technology with the idea of how can everybody benefit off of this, not how can I make sure that I have a good enough water supply, even if it means that our neighbors north or south of the border don't, whatever it might be. Right now we think of technological advancements as a way to give ourselves the edge over somebody else, when instead what we could be doing is thinking about how can we have a planet that is so amazingly beautiful. You step outside of your house every day and you're just awestruck by the multitude of nature that surrounds you and humans' ability to design systems, architectures that live within nature instead of separate from it. Instead of carving down trees, leveling everything to just make a concrete wonderland, building architecture that is a living part of nature, so that it doesn't just crumble once we go. It is a part of the ecosystem. All of these things that we can do, interplanetary travel, where we can extend our lifetime orders of magnitude and actually have a high quality of life, where we keep ourselves young through advanced medicine, and not just young, we keep ourselves physiologically young as we age, so that we can live to be multiple hundred years old, but still feel youthful all throughout. And what that allows us to do is go travel the universe, because we wouldn't even have the time to do it if we had the technology to do it right now. So we need to help ourselves physiologically live a little bit longer, then we can go take these trips. We'll talk about all of that, but essentially what we should be thinking about, instead of who won the election or how big is a stimulus check going to be, these are necessary things to worry about only because we've created a society in which they are necessary to worry about. In 2008, we gave money to bail out banks, not because it was the best thing to do, but because what that actually means is those banks had to pay off to pay back the people who lost the money that had put their money in the banks. So we're in this cycle of responsiveness to crises, and what neoliberalism does is they use these crises as a reason for more neoliberal principles. So the answer to the financial crisis was not hey, how can we localize finance? How can we make things more simple, transparent, and practical for day-to-day life instead of extremely abstract? And you have all of these whatever the word is, where you bet against stuff. You should watch The Big Short again. So in any case, we live in this world, and it's a necessary reality that we do have to worry about these things. We have to worry about making enough money to put food on the table. That's a genuine worry. I can't sit here and tell people to go quit their job and live in nature, because that would be better. You have to survive, and we've created a world where survival costs money. Everything that we do costs money. So the first step of what we're doing here at Share the Wealth is we're understanding the world as it is today for the purposes of moving beyond it. We're not just taking an inventory of everything that's happened to wallow in despair. We're trying to create an actionable plan for where we want to be moving forward. And that's why we're combining the Dalai Lama's wisdom about happiness with the fact that plants are alive, with the fact that we're all one connected consciousness, and that every other human that you see is just but a physiological manifestation of this larger fabric that connects all of us. I've lost my train of thought, because that's what we should be thinking about. That's what we should be thinking about instead of this vinegary politics that we have right now. It's no fun. So at Share the Wealth, we're taking an inventory of what's bad about the world, how it came to be in the sense of neoliberalism, and looking at mechanisms like hegemony and psychological heuristics that go on in our brain that allow us to internalize these messages and then participate in the perpetuation unwillingly and unknowingly. So we'll take a look at all of that, so we understand how to move forward, and we understand how to call bullshit when we see it, and not just blindly buy into things. I miss being inspired by our leaders. It doesn't seem like anybody's trying to inspire us. All you see on the news are politicians not even telling you what they're going to do or want to do. They're just telling you what's going to happen if the other person wins. And it's bad. It's always bad. Which is effective, but why? Why are we doing this? That's what we want to change here at Share the Wealth. So, you got to start somewhere.